another question about other forms of finance, particularly male, called gambling, and again facilitated by the digital. And I just wondered to what extent that becomes another means to pay bills and obviously shades off into the legal sector as well.
You say gambling is one of the... Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. Like, I think one feature that is defined the kind of post-apartheid social economy are just these new forms of distribution between households, ways that people are making money, the way that income is spread, the way that social grants are combined with wage income. So, I mean, I don't know a lot about the sort of gambling economy in that way, but I mean, certainly I know from working with people that receive social grants, access to forms of income through renting out a room in a house or a shack somewhere, driving people to school for a bit of income. These other ways that people kind of get by are combined with social grants income. So for the community healthcare workers that we were working with at the beginning, when these sort of issues arose, they're making a bit of money from the state, from this EPWP program, public wage program. Some of their income is coming from that. Some of it's coming from social grants, some of it's coming from a loan, and then some of it might come from, like, they drive a taxi one day on the weekend. So you have these multiple sources of income that are all kind of cobbled together. So gambling might fit in there somehow, but I'm not exactly sure. Yes?
What about cheating that grant system? Like, how do you, all welfare states have cheat ways. So is it easy to cheat?
Yeah, I mean, it did come up. There were sort of anecdotal stories of people, saying they had a lower income and trying to get access to it. I mean, one thing that I think is quite remarkable about the system is that there are some degree of conditionality. So with a child grant, for example, technically your child has to be registered for school, but it's not really checked. It's very loosely enforced. It's very easy just to show up there and get your child grant. And I mean, at the same time, a child grant is not provided. It doesn't have to be provided directly to a parent. It can be any form of caregiver. So it could be a grandparent or so on. So those conditionalities are kind of flexible. So I mean, within that, there is, I'm sure, some degree of people trying to cheat the grant system. It's never really been raised as a major problem. In the realm of public controversies around social grants, one was illegal deductions, the other one was the issue around if this is sustainable going forward. But the sort of welfare cheats, that sort of rhetoric that arose in the US and sort of 80s and 90s, hasn't really been raised.
Yes. Really interesting presentation. Sorry I was late, I got lost. I was just wondering, I was thinking back to this lady's question here about the state's relationship with the poor, and I was wondering to what extent, in an African context, it's about the relationship between the poor and the state, or whether it's about the relationship between the perception of Africa within the world economy. So it really struck me, I'm a historian, so I can't help looking back and thinking about those narratives that were underpinning colonial and annexation operations and that sort of soft colonialism, but also decolonisation and the policies there, the development of the World Bank. And it really struck me, that there's still this narrative of helping poor people overcome risky, poverty-inducing behaviours, and the idea that there's an objective, rational, let's say, non-African spender. So I just wondered, is it, in an African case, is it the individual that's at fault, or is it this narrative of the poor African that can never kind of make those type of quote-unquote rational decisions that come from these larger financial institutions that still seem to be pushing?
Yeah, it's a really good question. What's someone's name?
It's Rebecca Sheffield.
Rebecca?
Yes.
It's Rebecca. Yeah, I mean, I think that one real virtue of unconditional cash transfers is it attempts to move beyond the sort of paternalism that characterized previous sort of welfare state systems, right? That you don't have to sort of prove your poverty or make certain improvements to the way you live and behave as a way of getting access to this income. At the same time, though, one thing that I'm sort of working through in this research is that as this has been financialized, it has become a part of these discourses of financial responsibility, saving, thrift, and so on that become a part of the system. So you get your income through the state, but if you have this card and you get a loan and insurance and so on, you should become sort of a you should think of yourself in sort of that human capital sense, self-investing, responsible, and so on. So I think that has been sort of a shift in paternalism, from paternalism of the state to a paternalism of a kind of the financial banking sector overseeing that discourse. Yeah, I mean, so one thing that I'm sort of thinking of as well, thinking about historically, are these shifts from sort of citizen to subject, and then what sort of subject are you in relation to the state, and then sort of way in which the state is now, the way you encounter it is through something like the financial sector. So, I mean, one thing that we saw in our research was that, when people go and get their loans, they go to a bank or a grocery store. And so they're encountering the sort of apparatus of the welfare state, not through sort of a state official or a state office or whatever, but through somebody that works at a grocery store or a bank. And so if they have concerns around a deduction from their account or how the payment works, they can't actually query this with this person. And so we saw this over and over again as people were worried about a deduction from their welfare payments. They were never really sure who to talk to. They would call up like this bank that had control over their accounts, and they would say, oh no, you should call the social development agency, SASA, and then they would say, no, you've got to talk to the bank. So people were bounced back and forth. So it's this way in which it's sort of, part of the strategy is this argument that the sort of extension of the state opens up these opportunities for subaltern engagement and agency and so on. But through the way in which the financial sector has been involved in this, it makes it difficult for people to navigate the state in this kind of way. It's difficult to know who actually is the state and who you should talk to as well. Yeah, so great questions. I have no good answer, but it's amazing.
I must have missed something there. So how do you get your whatever from the grocery store?
So all the kind of payment infrastructure, the electronic things that scan your thumb are controlled by the company, but you can go to a grocery store, bring your card, scan your thumb at the grocery store, and get your money on your card or get it in cash. And I mean, this is, of course, stores love this because then what most people do is they buy all of their groceries with their money right away. So yeah, I mean, it's a very sort of spread out and diversified sector. You can go to a pay point to get your money in cash as well, but there are other ways of doing it.
Which is like in Montreal, in the 19th century, the main money lenders were grocery stores.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but it was really their own. So you would just have a credit for at the grocery, and then they were the main people in poor areas.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That happens in South Africa too, especially rural areas.
Right. So I mean, there is that history as well of credit apartheid didn't mean that non-white South Africans didn't have access to credit. It was just in different types of ways, right? Often it was through a store in a rural area that would extend credits, and this is often tied up through recruitment for mining, for example. But the whole phenomenon is that of hire purchase as well, which is purchase of furniture, televisions, and this sort of stuff, was a whole sector of the kind of credit apartheid economy geared towards lending to non-white South Africans that essentially do not have access to collateral because of the history of land dispossession. So if you can't offer your land as collateral on a loan, there's other ways in which you can do that. So you give a furniture store access to your bank account details, and they can withdraw money directly from your accounts, these sorts of things. So there's a whole sort of back history of what credit looked like. It's really interesting. Yes?
So, there's a follow-up on the political economic question. We are now about 26 years after independence, post-1994. How do we relate this to the whole problem of diversification of the economy?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic question. I think that, as I kind of pointed to a little bit, that the increasing reliance on social grants is really due to declining employment in those traditional areas of mining, manufacturing, and agriculture, in which a lot of people that had lower skills depended on for some type of wage. So you see declines in those sectors. Now many of those people are reliant on social grants. And where diversification has happened, as I said, I mean, the biggest sectors that have seen sort of economic growth and job numbers have been in things like finance, retail, and so on. Some of these are low-wage types of jobs. Some of them are high-income jobs. I mean, one of the biggest growth sectors has been the public sector, getting jobs in the States. So that's been a growth sector. Finance has been a growth sector. So, I mean, it's the big question, right? Like, the idea that jobs will come back to manufacturing, come back to mining seems fairly remote at this stage. So, what areas can you actually see the creation of decent work in? Can retail be one of those sectors? Can finance be one of those sectors? Perhaps, but they have kind of a limited capacity for labor absorption.
Post office group, sorry, someone tried to follow up, but I don't think they've ever delivering money or delivering letters.
Well, I mean, this is the other big question, is that people have limited faith in the post office. The Post Bank has insisted that they're a separate entity from the post office, that their funds are controlled separately, but they are tied together. And so the post office was just bailed out last year for a pretty significant sum. So this has understandably caused some concerns about, I mean, and that, and simply the fact that there is not a post office in every single community. So people often have to travel to get access to social grants. So, you know, the Net One had a very extensive system of distribution due to its kind of history, often in rural areas. The post office does not have the same distribution network, so that's caused some concerns about getting people as well. How are we doing for time?
We're doing very well.
Yeah? Okay. Any last burning questions? And
yeah, if there is nothing else, I need to thank you so very much. It was a very good talk and a good discussion. Thank you for all.
I'm happy to hang around if you want to chat more.
Thank you.
Thank you.